These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
And we don't just have sports flowing through our veins. We have reckless speculation. We have scoops. We have our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson, Phil out today, Declan in, Judd in, and most importantly, Doogie in on some scoopage. And boys, let's start here. All the marbles on the line, Ford Field, Sunday. Hold on a second. There's my Gus Bus mug for you. All the marbles on the line Sunday night, Ford Field, national TV. Lions won, beat the Niners in a terrible game last night. The Vikings obviously won a fun game against the Packers on Sunday. Doogie, what can you tell us about the expectations here, about the enthusiasm, and by the way, about the rating that KARE locally is about to get, because this game is going to be absolutely, as the kids like to say, lit?
I am not sure, Judd. By the way, Happy New Year's Eve. Apologies for the makeshift setup here in the Channel 5 sports office. How about these headphones? These headphones, I think, Judd, are older than you. Look at these.
There's some tape on them, Dukes. Got some tape.
Those were actually used by the Beatles on their
White Album?
the White Album. Exactly right. McCartney wore those, so those are very nice.
Be careful.
They're incredibly valuable. So, yeah, this is what happens when we need to ad-lib. With 30 seconds until showtime, I'm in a rush to get off the wild morning skate, then over to Gophers basketball practice. But, yes, can you imagine the TV rating? Like, I don't think – okay, so Sunday is what, January 4th, January 5th, January 6th? Sunday is January 5th. I am not entirely sure there will be a higher-rated 3-hour television program for the rest of 2025 here in the Twin Cities than on Sunday. I mean, I'm trying to think in our lifetime, Judd. Now, your lifetime goes back further than mine, but okay, in my lifetime of covering the Vikings, okay, 98, certainly 09. In fact, I was texting with Brad Childress the other day. I'm going to catch up with your guy, Chili, later this week, just to go down memory lane, get his thoughts on the 2024 Vikings. One of my favorite people. I have a little bit better relationship with him, I think, than you do, but all good, right?
We used to be tight.
I know you used to be tight, so I'll make sure I send well wishes. But, yeah, I mean, outside of 98, 09, certainly the Minneapolis Miracle into the blowout then the next week in Philadelphia. But when thinking about the low expectations, and, hey, collectively, the three of us, I think all said we would take the over, 6.5, the Vegas over-under, okay? We all said that. Never in a million years did any of us, I don't know one human being that thought they would even get to double-digit victories. I don't know, I'm telling you, Judd, I don't know one person that said 10 wins this year, let alone 14, knocking on the door of 15, 9-game winning streak, the longest winning streak since 1973, sweeping the Packers for the first time since 2017, as special a season as I can remember. 98, I was still a young pup, more so an intern, so now being fully in the belly of the beast, covering this team from OTAs and minicamp in the spring all the way through now, even pre-draft, even well before OTAs and minicamp, free agency in March as they laid out their game plan, all the due diligence they did on the draft-eligible quarterbacks. So all that work that we did in February, March, April, May, June, feeding into the start of training camp, end of July, all of August, the dog days of training camp, then the start to the regular season, 5-0, now at 14 victories. Judd, it doesn't truly get any better than this. I try to avoid hyperbole. I really do. I'm more a skeptic. I try to downplay things. I can't downplay Sunday night and the importance, by the way, because I'm not breaking news here. Like, I think about back in 93, I guess it would have been January of 94, the last time we had a game like this. Cowboys, Giants, the 1 seed on the line. The Cowboys go to the Meadowlands. They beat the Giants, end up as the 1 seed, then go on to win the Super Bowl. I don't think you're winning the Super Bowl as the 5 seed. If you are the 1 seed, I like your chances a ton.
Well, I guess if they were in the Super Bowl, that might trump this one, right? Is the Super Bowl CBS this year, or is it CARE or on NBC?
Fox.
Fox. It's a Fox one.
That's a good point, Declan. Right. If they are playing on February 9th in New Orleans, I get it. You're right. If if the Vikings are in the Super Bowl, but I'm telling you, let's say
Right.
it's the Eagles against the Chiefs or the Eagles against the Bills,
Yeah.
it'll do a phenomenal number here in the Twin Cities. I'm not sure it'll do better than Vikings Lions, but yes, fair comeback, no doubt about that.
Dukes, looks like status of Aaron Jones looks like they might have avoided a serious injury there. I know KOC said he's likely to not miss any time. Pat Jones, it's more of a wait and see, but I guess my silver lining, not to you don't root for injuries for any player, but if Pat Jones can't go, I mean, we're going to probably see a lot more of Dallas Turner if that were the case on Sunday, right?
Yeah, I mean, we would. And I would say at this point, 40-60 for Jones playing. They certainly got some good news coming out of Sunday into Monday. And I texted with somebody close to Pat. There is some level of optimism that he'll be able to play on Sunday night. Aaron Jones, nothing to worry about. He does a ton when it comes to body maintenance. So he'll be in the hot tub, cold tub, all that stuff, getting an extra massage here and there. But yeah, I'm not worried about Aaron Jones's availability for Sunday. I suppose the guy I'm worried about the most would be Fabian Moreau. When you think about Detroit and, hey, do they get back the wide receiver Raymond? Like, do you need a fourth cornerback? If so, McLaughlin, but do you prefer Moreau? I'm not talking, 25 snaps, but if you need a fourth cornerback for, let's say, 4 to 7 snaps, do you prefer Moreau over McLaughlin? But I would say of the three, Moreau, Jones, and Aaron Jones, Pat Jones, Aaron Jones, of the three, Moreau would be the guy I'd be the most concerned about.
Dukes, 17 games into this, like, as you said, it's very hard to be skeptical. It's been absolutely incredible. And you've been in the locker room for your TV job a lot, talking to guys both on and off the record. Give me what you think the secret sauce is here. Give me, and look, I know they've got talent. Darnold's been great. There's things that we all can see. But as a person who goes around talking to these players, what do you think has been or have been some of the absolute key sort of behind the scene tenets that have built up this incredible run for the Vikings?
They have the coach of the year as brilliant an offensive mind. I get it. We can nitpick some of the in-game stuff, time management. I understand that. But when it comes to Monday through Saturday, game plan-wise, he is right up there, Kevin O'Connell. When it comes to a defensive game plan, Brian Flores is right up there. It helps to have a lot of really smart guys. They do so many different things on defense. You need to have guys that can grasp all of that. Josh Metellus, incredibly intelligent. Harrison Smith, incredibly intelligent. Cam Bynum, incredibly intelligent. Go up and down the list of those guys. Guys realizing back in February, March, April, May, that conditioning. Like I've talked with Metellus about this. There's a reason why he does some long distance running in the spring. He knows he has to be ready for any number of special team snaps, then all sorts of defensive snaps that your body will start to wear down if you're not in tip-top shape. So the work they put in the weight room, outside of the weight room, just maintaining their bodies. Certainly some injury luck too. I mean, we spoke with Kevin O'Connell about this on Monday, Judd. Yes, would they love to have Christian Darrisaw? No doubt. Would they love to have Mekhi Blackman? No doubt. Heck, would they love to have had J.J. McCarthy practicing this year? No doubt. But comparatively speaking, they're as healthy a team as any team in the league. Yes, some luck involved, but the work that the sports performance staff has done, I think also deserves a shout out. So I think it's the total package, but certainly having intelligent players and guys for the most part that really get along. I'm not suggesting that Dalton Reisner and Byron Murphy are hanging out away from the facility, but I'm just saying it's very much kumbaya when they are there at TCO Performance Center. Sure, there's some bickering, there's some debating going on, maybe even some yelling about, your college team this, your college team that, some healthy trash talking. But there's a real respect in that locker room. In fact, I was talking with somebody that's in there all the time away from the facility a couple weeks ago, a mutual friend of ours. He told me, as far as he knows, and he's there all the time, he told me, hey, like these guys, there's a genuineness. Like they really like each other. There isn't any bickering. And I get it. Winning helps. When you've won 14 games, that solves a lot of this. But truly, going back to August, I'm telling you, those dog days of summer. And, hey, we saw some physicality, some shoving, some near fisticuffs, right? back in August. But these guys really, really do like each other. I think that goes a long way.
Dukes, what did you make of, I believe it was Diana Rossini and others have kind of now come out and said, hey, the Vikings want Sam Darnold back. Now, I think they're not going to say the opposite of that. We don't want Sam Darnold back in the middle of the season, in the middle of a potential playoff run. But I guess, what do you make of the initial reporting that is coming out? The Vikings do want to bring him back, and has your likelihood maybe changed, Dukes, just in your personal mind of him coming back to the Vikings, or is it still just a wait and see, let the market play out? Franchise tag is an option. I guess, what do you make of the reports that the Vikings do indeed want Darnold back in 2025?
I would say Declan somewhere in the middle. I do think the franchise tag is very much a viable option. I'm not sure it was 8, 9, 10 weeks ago. If you had asked me after the Jets game, for example, I would have told you, full steam ahead on J.J. McCarthy, opening day quarterback, 2025 starting quarterback. Now, I get it. We need to acknowledge the brilliance of Sam Darnold. Like, I thought on Sunday, for them, the offense, 441 yards. I get it. They had more in the win in overtime in Chicago. But considering the defense that they played against, I thought that was their best offensive performance of the season. Darnold certainly had enough to do with that. Thought he was really good in Seattle as well. So we need to acknowledge the way he's finishing this season. Sure, let's see how January plays out. There is still very much a strong internal belief that J.J. McCarthy is going to be an upper echelon quarterback. There is an acknowledgement, at least on background internally, that, hey, like having all sorts of cap space can be very beneficial, right? Whether it's signing an upper echelon cornerback like DJ Reed, an interior defensive lineman, an interior offensive lineman, signing any number of internal free agents, right? You can only do so much if you're committing $40 to $45 to $50 million in 2025 to Sam Darnold. But I do think, I'm telling you, I'm not sure the franchise tag was an option, 2.5 months ago. Declan, right now, the franchise tag is a legit option.
Dukes, I think you nailed it right there. Like, yes, I agree completely that at one time it's like, okay, that's still going to be a immediate one-time $40 million cap hit in 2025. I think it's an option now, but here's the other thing, you guys, we got to look at is, one, this is a quarterback light draft. There's probably a couple of guys that can start week one, and that's it. So the 2024 draft was bountiful. The other thing is quarterbacks, good ones, starters, never hit the free agent market unless your name is Kirk Cousins. And you look around this league right now. I mean, San Francisco, they were talking last night on the Monday night telecast. Brock Purdy's going to want the bag. Do you give him the bag? So, like, there's San Francisco. There's the Raiders. There is the chance that Matthew Stafford walks away. And if he does, there's the Rams. Phil has pounded the drum on, and he might be right, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, Dukes, can you imagine? There is a plausible discussion here to be had that you franchise Darnold and trade him for a first-round pick and perhaps something more day 3. And now you, who have 3 draft picks, Darren, have replenished the cupboard, and you're drafting not once but twice on Thursday night. Like, this is getting very intriguing because of that franchise tag ability.
I think that is the end game here, that you use the franchise tag, first goal, to trade him. And if there isn't a logical trade partner, okay, you're open-minded. How would you
Correct.
not be to him being back in 2025? I'm with you. Like, what about even the Jets? I had a high-ranking sports executive, not an NFL executive, but a high-ranking sports executive I was catching up with on Monday who told me he loves the Jets. He's trying to wrap his arms around the idea of Sam Darnold being back with the Jets. I said, I'm not quite sure I see it. Of the 2 New York teams, the Giants make more sense to me than the Jets. But he was saying, hey, like, he knows enough people that could be sold on the idea of Darnold returning to the Jets. I just said, I'm not sure I see it. But, yeah, I mean, outside of Cam Ward at Miami, Shedeur Sanders at Colorado, is there a draft-eligible quarterback ready to start day 1 in September? I'm not sure there is. And so there are more teams that will need a quarterback than there are draft-eligible quarterbacks ready to immediately play. So, yes, the Vikings will have incredible leverage. And I do wonder deeply about the LA Rams. Are we sure that Matthew Stafford is going to be back? And we absolutely need to mention the 49ers. I think they invest in Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is their guy. But I can't sit here and tell you that with a ton of conviction. So we need to keep an eye on those two teams. Yeah, Pittsburgh for sure. What about the Browns? I mean, I guess I haven't looked at the details of the Deshaun Watson
It's a good one.
renegotiation and what the cap ramifications look like. But are we sure that Stefanski is married to the idea of Deshaun Watson as the Browns starting quarterback in 2025? I guess I need to gather more information on that front. Okay, the Raiders probably end up getting one of these guys, Sanders or Ward. Maybe the Giants get the other. But then it leaves all those other teams, right? And I'm sure we're leaving out a team or two. New Orleans. How does New Orleans solve its quarterback dilemma? Are we sure it's Derek Carr in 2025? Right? We can go up and down the list, right? We can make a case for a number of other teams. But we just laid out a case for 6, 7, 8 different franchises with 2 solid draft-eligible quarterbacks. That means the Vikings have incredible leverage when it comes to trading Sam Darnold.
And San Francisco, I think because of his age and the status of his Achilles, I think the Kirk conversation has sailed there now. Like at one time, that would have made a ton of sense. You guys, I don't think that makes sense now. But Darnold going back there on a deal that doesn't break the bank as much as Purdy does. Like there are places that you could send him where this relationship would end beautifully. Like, I think if you traded him to the Jets, you'd have some problems. He'd be like, what the hell? And I helped you and you screwed me. But if you talk about the Rams, if you talk about the Niners, those teams that fit into the O'Connell tree as well, because he's a branch of the tree, yeah, I think this could end incredibly harmonious and incredibly fruitful, because if you get a first or second round pick, your draft is looking pretty good now. It is incredible to be talking about this team with this much optimism because you have so much trust in the people at the helm. I was trying to think, like, when's the last time that, to use your term, Doogie, there's been kumbaya, not just in the locker room, but throughout the organization. And also, we're talking about these just delightful problems. Like this Darnold problem conundrum is a delightful problem. Like in 2009, you had to go out and beg Favre, and then it's like, is he coming back? And it was always this sort of acrimonious, oh, he's going to call the shots in this. And I give O'Connell so much credit here. I give him so much credit, because don't forget, Dukes, too, the other thing that I continue to talk about is this season started with the death of a player. And I know, Kyrie Jackson hadn't contributed yet, but he was at the camps. He was clearly well liked. That dude, I mean, it tragically dies suddenly in a car crash. And O'Connell, rallied the team. It didn't fracture him. So, yeah, it's so weird to be having these specifically encouraging conversations about a team that has embraced chaos for so much of its franchise history.
I'm glad you brought up Kyrie Jackson, because I should have said him when I said Darrisaw went up and down the list of guys I'm sure they would love to have. I mean, Judd, we've been doing this long enough. How many different examples could we cite where crappy circumstances unfold, somebody tragically passes, whether it's a coach or a player, preseason, and we get it. The season spirals out of control. So, yes, going back to Kyrie Jackson, Kevin O'Connell, clear-cut coach of the year for so many different reasons, but certainly for navigating that incredibly difficult situation. Let me remind you on Darnold, too, he's not getting traded anywhere without his powerful representation at Creative Arts Agency having a big say, right? So they're not trading him to the Jets unless Sam, his representation, give that green light. So, we can cite the Jets all we want, but the Vikings aren't trading Sam. So I think if that, marriage ends up crumbling in, some ways, if that's the right terminology, ends up being a parting of the ways, certainly no hard feelings. But if Sam ends up elsewhere in 2025, trust me, Sam is going to have a big say in where he lands.
Dukes, any other scoops? Timberwolves, Twins related? I know you and I were kind of exchanging some texts yesterday. The Twins have been quiet, obviously. Nothing going in free agency. Trying to figure out, are they going to shed some payroll or shed some trades or offset some salary? Anything else in the scoops bag for you?
Yeah, so Stephon Gilmore about to hit a $500,000 bonus. That's for making the playoffs, playing in over 70% of the snaps. He's not going to hit 80%. He would have made more money if he hit 80 or 90% of the snaps, but he is at 75% right now. So he'll end up with a $500,000 bonus. Gophers football Friday night. It's a standalone game, but we get it. It's a meaningless bowl game. But look for some of the Gophers to not play, right? Look at some of the draft eligible guys. No reason to put your body on the line in a meaningless game. So, yes, Virginia Tech is decimated, transfer portal, guys leaving. So this is not the same Virginia Tech team that we saw in early November. But the Gophers will not be at full strength. Travel-wise, sure, everybody hopped on the plane yesterday, but there are guys that went down to Charlotte that are not going to play on Friday. I'm telling you, look at guys that have the draft to focus on. Yeah, Declan, on the Twins. So I was catching up with an agent the other day. He spoke with some Twins executives recently. The Twins are steadfast. They need to have a $130 million payroll. They are north of that right now. Now, I was told if they want to make a Chris Paddock trade today, there is a trade they can make. But they're looking for something. I'm not talking meaningful, but something that they can wrap their arms around in return. They don't want to just give him away. And that trade possibility that exists today would essentially be that. I do think as the calendar flips to January here and, 13, 14 hours, that at some point here after the first, Derek Falvey is going to go to Joe Polat and say, hey, here's the deal. I either need a little bit of wiggle room or I am going to have to make a trade or two that I really don't want to make. They continue to get calls on Pablo Lopez. I don't sense anything is close, but the interest, look at some of these big market teams that have not landed one of the big name starting pitchers, right? Whether it's the Giants, the Orioles, the Cubs, some other teams, right? There is genuine interest, a ton of interest in Pablo Lopez. I just don't think anything is all that close right this second, but I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. But right now I would say Pablo Lopez is the Twins opening day starter. Then at first base, Declan, you can't sell me on, we texted about this last night, you can't sell me on Jose Miranda or even Eddie Julian as the opening day first baseman. So who is the opening day first baseman? They were not in on Josh Bell. Whatever you think of Josh Bell, I thought it was a reasonable deal. Nationals, 1 year, $6 million. The Twins were not in on him, never made Carlos Santana an offer, even though there was some dialogue about interest in bringing back Carlos. But you brought up the name Declan, Ryan Mountcastle. I think his name is out there. I do think there are some fans of Mountcastle in the Twins organization. And so could you figure out a match there? Now, Baltimore is not giving away Ryan Mountcastle, but to me, above average hitter, not great hitter, but above average hitter, certainly a pretty good defender, maybe not an elite defender, but good enough defender, was a Gold Glove finalist. Rocco Baldelli, you know this, Declan, wants defense at first base. Whether it was C.J. Cron back in the day, Santana last year, Rocco going to bat on those moves. Mountcastle to me makes as much sense as anyone, but maybe it's some other name. I just don't think it's going to be Miranda or Julian if Rocco gets his way.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was both. I wouldn't be surprised if both those guys open spring training, as the first two, but I'd be shocked if when they break camp and they go to St. Louis for opening day that I would bet there's someone not on the roster as of December 31st. That's your opening day first baseman. That's what I would say.
Yes, write that down. Yes, absolutely. Write that down. I'm with you, Declan. I support your opinion on that. It's certainly an educated opinion. We don't just randomly toss that one out. It's not a reckless speculation Thursday. So, yes, I am with you. The first baseman for the Twins in mid-April is not currently on the 40-man roster.
Outstanding, Doogie. Thank you very much.
All right, boys. How about Wolves and Thunder tonight?
Be safe. Don't be out partying. I know that you like to hit the bar starting around 7 and then go crazy. So just be very careful.
I will. If I need to, Judd, I will reach out to you. You can be my Uber driver tonight.
Yeah,
because
Judd.
we will be hanging out in St. Louis Park, so West
Oh.
Metro, near the Judd Zolgad palatial mansion, right? So
Lights are
yes,
off.
if need be, I will absolutely blow up your phone. But yes, I will absolutely
Be
keep safe. I do want to keep an eye on Wolves Thunder tonight. OKC, 11
Okay.
straight wins. The
That's good.
Wolves maybe playing better. I guess when you win 3 straight, we can say they're playing better, although I'm still not all in on the Wolves. But I'm really not all in on anybody in the West outside of OKC. Maybe Dallas if Luka gets healthy, but he's still weeks away from returning. Plus, I'm not quite sure Kyrie Irving is going to be healthy in April. Like, I don't know if I can bank on that, but I do like Dallas when they have their full roster. But otherwise, everybody in the West is pretty much all jumbled up, whether it's the 3rd seed, the 4th seed, maybe Memphis, but whether it's the 4 seed or the 11 seed, I think at the end of the regular season, there's going to be a separation of like 4 to 5 games max. So do you miss the play-in? Are you in the play-in? Or heck, do you capture the 4 seed to get home court in the first round? I think the Wolves still have a long way to go, but certainly encouraging that they've won 3 in a row.
Awesome stuff, Dukes. Thank you. Talk to you on Thursday, okay?
All right, boys. Happy New Year. See ya.
Happy New Year, Dukes.
Right.
See ya, man.
Hey, folks, but before we go, Declan, I got an exciting event. Because guess what? The boys are headed back to Padres.
There's my volume tab that I made the screenshot there. That's a little fun one. If you can see that volume button.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Look at that.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, guess what? We will inform the people about what they need to know about this Padres Purple Daily Unplugged, which means Phil, means Judd, it means Declan there. January 7th from 5 to 7 p.m. Now, here's the key thing. You must register to attend, but it's a free event. So you do not have to pay. We've done about 2 or 3 of these at Padres, which is located in Northeast. Absolutely an outstanding time. You show up, you listen to us babble, but here's the most important thing. The unplugged thing is then we've got a microphone for you. So come up, ask your questions, give your hottest takes. Absolutely a great time. And also, you'll get a Score North Padres pint glass to be filled with any Padres beer on tap. And because of that, you must be 21 or over to attend. 21 or over. Northeast Minneapolis, January the 7th, the playoff preview from 5 to 7 p.m. at Padres. Declan, it will be a great time. I take it you are going to be there, correct?
I will be there, yep.
Okay, good.
ScoreNorth.com/unplugged to register for that. So ScoreNorth.com/unplugged. We just ask people to register for it. That'd be the best way we can get a little head count there.
Yeah,
so
we're not trying to charge you.
ScoreNorth.com/unplugged. Otherwise, Judd, the doorman, if you're not on the list, he's going to kick you out. It's going to be a whole thing.
The doorman.
Between Judd and Ross's muscle, I don't want to see anyone getting kicked out of there. So that's the last thing.
Oh, boy. You don't have to worry about that for me. I'm too old.
Hit the like button, subscribe button, though. That was a scoop session. We'll see Doogs again on Thursday. Purple Daily, State of the Offense is also ready to rock there on Purple Daily. So a lot of great stuff happening here today on New Year's Eve. Appreciate you guys. We'll be talking at you soon.